So, like, amongst the many embarrassing situations, this would have been the peak. And then I thought someone should have told me this is colloquial German, right? No one told me. The textbooks never told me about this.
Hi all, welcome to our podcast, The Pommes Box. Today's guest has a really very interesting journey with both Germany and the German language. She lived and worked in Germany, so she exactly knows what it takes to learn the language and to adapt to the culture. She is now a German teacher and founder of Regenschirm, where she teaches German in a structured manner and also helps students collaborate with native speakers to be fluent in speaking German. In this episode, we'll talk about her journey and how learning German can become more practical. So let us welcome Divya to our show. Welcome, Divya.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, a pleasure having you here. So, Divya, we know that you have worked both in an IT profession and then now a language mentor. And yeah, what's the biggest thought which came to you to start such a organization and to start teaching German? Where did it all start from?
So this wasn't something which has been in plan for a very long time. It so happened that a couple of years ago, to be precise, 3 years ago, I moved back to India after living in Germany for over 10 years. And once I moved back to India, I wanted to somehow stay in touch with Germany, although I moved back, but still stay in touch and as well as help people somehow. And it would have been possible in a corporate structure, but at the same time I wanted to branch out and do something of my own. After being in industry for over 12 years, I just thought finally I should think about doing something of my own. And that's when I thought, okay, maybe I could teach German, because when I attended language classes, like this was in 2013 when I just moved to Germany, I remember walking into the first German class and everything was in German, and I literally cried on that day because I wasn't sure what was going on, and I was never such a dumb student. And when this happened, I remember those 6 months there were a lot of things being taught, but then not much was making sense to me. There were things that I learned, but at the same time not 100%. So I thought maybe I could club my expertise of living there and also my language ability, and together with my experience living there, that I could somehow help the internationals living in Germany to provide a structured language program, and that's how I started Regenschirm.
Okay.
So earlier it was just something where I was helping out friends, but not really like a business, so to say, and then it was a natural transition. That this way I still am in touch with Germany. I have a lot of students from Switzerland and Austria, but a majority who are living in Germany. So yeah.
And just for our audience who are watching our podcast, where can they find you? Like, how can they get registered into your organization for learning German?
So I'm on Instagram under the handle German with Divya, and my website is regenschirm.in. It's a difficult word to remember, which is why the handle is now German with Divya. So you can look me up on YouTube also as German with Divya, and majorly I post all my updates on Instagram.
That's nice. That's great. And
Great story, like how you transitioned as a teacher, and from the language perspective, if you want to help someone to progress from B2 to a professional level, so where should they focus, and do you have some kind of plan or routine or some do's and don'ts?
In my experience and also in my understanding, it's always like the grammar part is taken care of in the first 3 levels. Like until B1, as you also might have come across, there's a lot of scaling up to do. But anything beyond B1, it's more like improving your vocab, improving your listening skills, your reading comprehension, etc. So in my personal opinion, anything after B1 or B2. Like maybe you could still attend classes for the B2 level, but beyond that, for C1 and C2 levels, what I always recommend is just listen to a lot of native speaker podcasts. Not something which is meant for language learners, but something which is of your own interest. Let's say you love gossip, maybe some people love gossip, so just find a podcast which, something for women, for example. Try to find a topic that interests you and follow podcasts. So what I would do for a very long time, this was my routine. Early in the morning, I would wake up, turn on the radio while I was cooking. So I would have 1 hour for cooking every morning, and that 1 hour was my radio time. So I would listen to the news, my local city news. I would know what's going on around my city, as well as improve my listening ability. So that was something like which was a non-negotiable for me. Or otherwise, evenings when I go for a walk, you could also try to listen to a podcast while you're on your walk. Just try listening to something and you improve your listening skills that way. And for reading, what I always recommend is just find something, again, a topic of your interest. It need not be world peace, world politics all the time. If let's say finance is something of interest to you, pick a newspaper and read that. Not really books. I would not suggest books because again you need to get the best of both worlds. So if you read a local newspaper, start with something simple. Don't go directly with Süddeutsche Zeitung, for example. Start with your local newspaper. Something, for example, in Munich we used to get something called as Münchner Merkur. So that's something I used to enjoy reading, and slowly I transitioned to Welt, Süddeutsche Zeitung. Once I knew that I am comfortable with this jargon in the newspaper, then I transitioned to reading the Süddeutsche Zeitung, for example. And also in that, do not pick boring topics, something which is not of interest to you, because you will not go back to reading that once again. So you should pick out, for example, as I again mentioned, gossip. If it is your favorite, just pick the gossip part of the paper. Travel, pick the travel section and just read articles around that. So if you read more, you listen more, that's how you're going to improve your vocab. And you use them eventually in your daily life. So you're just listening and reading, would it only help? No, you should also use this in your daily life, which means you have to speak more. So this is all my personal experience. What I would do is I would just strike up conversations with strangers on the street. And it helped that I was living in a very small town. So, and there were a lot of old people there. They were very lonely because there were not many kids to talk to them. So I would just go strike a conversation with them. And they were very happy to communicate also. So this way I made a lot of friends. So for speaking, I would strike up conversations with strangers. I was not at all ashamed of this. I would just try to make a conversation. If they're interested, they would talk to me. Not interested, they would just turn their faces away. So it was either way, I still did something new for that day, and that's how it just scaled up. And this is also something I would recommend because this is what helped me, and I'm pretty sure as an international, if you also live in Germany, I think this is the only way. If you attend classes, yes, C1 level, C2 level, but it's the same thing. So it's only out of your own interest that you could improve beyond B2.
Yeah, interesting insight. And it also takes a lot of courage to talk to strangers because, and currently in 2026, I don't know, like, because there is some kind of situation happening, and Germans are also not so integrated or are like so welcoming to speak to people. They have some kind of fear talking with strangers. So yeah,
it's not just. I mean, even then there was this issue. I was studying at a university which was in East Germany, and East Germany, I think you are aware, it's very popular for different reasons, right? So there, I was able to make friends. I was able to strike up conversations. So it's not a majority of people who are like this, but you do find amongst them people who are also a little more having more exposure to internationals, and it's not too difficult, I would say. Maybe there are also people who do not like brown-skinned people, but at the same time there are also an equal number of people who won't mind speaking to foreigners.
Yeah, especially those who have like this experience of being a foreigner in like having lived in like say for example US or
Yes,
UK and then coming back to Germany. Those people are
definitely.
more open to conversation and
Yes.
yes.
Of course. So I also had instances even 13 years ago where people were not willing to talk to me. Okay, yeah, bad experience. I'll just move on. I have to somehow learn the language, and this is how I'm okay. I know that such people also exist. Moving on.
And one of the things that you mentioned was the material that you were watching. So, is there still something that you still watch to date? Is there some
I
YouTube
still
channel? Or
I still watch Tagesschau. So my husband,
okay.
he's just too annoyed that he keeps saying, you know, no one would ever imagine that someone sitting in Guwahati in Assam is watching Tagesschau.
Like
So that's my go-to news channel every morning. So my news is from Tagesschau. I don't
Okay.
watch Indian media, unfortunately, because also of my profession, but it's also something that I'm used to for the last so many years. That yeah, in 20 minutes you have.
Okay, you watch the 20 minutes. We have even the faster version that is Tagasha 100
100
seconds.
seconds.
No, I stick to the 20 minute every morning at 8:30. That's what I watch.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, no, I'm not more like a watching person. I'm a podcast person. So if I were to watch the news, I watch Tagesschau, and then for walks, when I go out on walks, I listen to different things. So something, if you're interested in Krimi, there's Zeitverbrechen, for example. That's a very nice podcast if you're interested in murder mysteries or something like this. Yeah, you pick a genre and then try to listen to
So just
something
trying
like
to
that.
see like what people, are sticking to.
Yeah.
Just curious, maybe it also helps the listeners uh, to just get a
Choose
start
yeah.
in case if they're struggling. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Like, definitely. Okay, so Divya, you have now been training many people, right? As per stats, I think 400 plus students. Yeah. So, what's one most common fear student in B2 to C1 level have, and how can they overcome
A
that
lot
fear?
of times, I think it comes from this fear because you are an international person, you're not that well integrated, you have this constant fear of making mistakes. You know, it is actually, if you look at people speaking English, if you listen to people speaking English in Germany, they make a lot of mistakes, but they don't care, they just want to communicate. But an international person learning German, he or she tries to be perfect all the time. But they forget that it's a foreign language. They're learning it as an adult. So they are bound to make mistakes, and it's quite natural. So a lot of times I keep telling people, you know, it's fine. You make a mistake, you learn from your mistakes. Or if you do not learn, it's fine. But then I'm not judging you. I'm actually glad that you're making my life easy. I don't have to speak English with you because I forgot English a long time ago. That's what probably a friend, an old friend of mine would think, a German lady, let's say. So she would be happy that you're speaking my language, and just let go of that fear. A lot of times we try to be perfectionists and want to frame the sentence correctly, but meanwhile, you know, because of this fear, you end up not speaking at all. And then people look at your hesitation and then they think, okay, let's switch to English if that's more comfortable for you. So this is what I tell all the learners, not just someone at a B2, C1 level, everyone, just try not to be perfect all the time. Perfection comes with practice, not on day one.
Yeah, it happens that right when we try to speak, we are in short of lot of words, and first thing what happens is from our mind we try to connect to English and try how that would become in like try to put the German sentence into exact English
Yes.
what we need, and then we fail there
So that
and
happens in the first phases, right? Until B2, this is what happens. You're truly translating the sentence to English, and meanwhile your face, it's like that processing mode all the time.
exactly.
And then you have to remember you place the verb at the end in certain situations. What do you do? All that. this processing, but once you keep listening to more things, like this is where I said, when you listen to podcasts, it comes naturally that the work placement goes to the end. You do not think too much because you hear it so many times. For example, something as simple as V gates. We learnt in first class of A1, let's say, and the answer is mir geht's gut, right? Because you hear it so many times. The same way, the more you listen, the more you consume German content, the better you get.
Yes.
I truly agree with that. Yeah.
One more challenge is the accent. Like people coming from different countries, or like even from India as well, they all have different accents, right? And some people don't lose the accent, or some people get better getting closer to the native accent. So, is there something? This can be challenging for some people because some people can make fun of their accents, but some people don't care at all. They still speak because they know in the end you have to just convey your message. Have you faced with this challenge, like some student coming to you telling, how can I improve my pronunciation, how to get better at my accent? Is that something that you also touched on in your teaching?
Yeah, so this one is difficult once someone reaches B1 level and they still have some pronunciation issues because their fundamentals were not right. So in any class or any group that I start with, we do a lot of pronunciation exercises. It's not really a big deal for me to have the right accent, but at the same time, if you just fix a few subtle things, the pronunciations are going to fix themselves. So we do a lot of such exercises in class where I give tips and tricks on how to pronounce certain alphabet groups. How do you do this? Like for example, the Z, you always say a TS. Some subtle things like that. So for someone who's just starting with A1, it's very easy because they've never had experience with the language. But it's tricky with someone who's already at B1, but the pronunciation is not really up to that mark, right? So with them, we have to do a lot more practice, and it's not really a big deal for them because a lot of people, it's just about communication. They don't care about accent as long as the message is put forth. They're fine. But for people from my A1 batches, then they don't have this issue at all because they've been corrected so many times by me, like pestered saying no, this is not how you say 10, you have to say it differently. So yeah, that way I try to stress a little more, probably because also of my background that people might have made fun of me. I don't want my students to go through something similar, and which is why I try to correct them. But at the same time, if your accent is different, English also, there are several accents, but then we all somehow coexist. The same way, I wouldn't worry too much about the accent, but there are certain small things with the pronunciations which you can just learn, and overall it helps quite a bit.
Yes. I have also seen actually Americans, because they have very strong English accent, right? Some people also try to say German with that accent, but some people also master the native one, so you cannot find out the differentiation who's who.
But despite having an accent, they're super confident, right? Ultimately, I think confidence is the key. So that's what I keep telling anyone. Whatever you speak confidently. The other person may or may not notice, but he would notice your confidence.
That's true.
And that's important.
Yeah. So, Divya, you have worked in German companies. You have experience working here. And what is that one unwritten office rule that expats should know? I'm not sticking it to one rule, but then what are those key rules which an expat should know when they're joining a German firm for the first time?
Never expect friendships from your company. It's different back home. Probably you make friends with your colleagues eventually, at least a few. And I made this mistake that I moved to Munich alone after masters, and then I was expecting friendships from my company, and I was extremely depressed because I wasn't able to make friends. I thought there was something wrong with me, but I didn't know it was the work culture that was and this was all pre-social media, where there was not much awareness about German work culture and everything. So this is one thing: never expect friendships. You have to do something off work in order to make friends in a new city. And the second one is, not too many personal details. They're not very much into sharing personal stuff. So they just keep it to work discussions, even at lunch, for example. Discussions somehow wander around work. They come back to somehow around work. So try to stick to that, and I think you're good. Also, time. Meetings. 5 minutes they wait, and anything after 5 minutes is cancelled meeting. So don't be late. It's the same thing everywhere, but work meetings especially, even if it is with close colleagues, try to stick to being on time.
And also, I've heard that when you're not punctual to your work, like work or meetings, it might lead to your termination as well. So, what is that you have to say about it? Like,
I haven't experienced that, so I cannot comment, but sounds German to me. Why not? But I can't comment. I've never been in such a situation or heard someone being in a situation. But yeah, they highly recommend asking people to be on time, especially if it's a client call, for example. I remember we used to wait for, I think, 5 minutes, and anything beyond 5 minutes, if there's no one in the call, we used to hang up. So it's a waste of our time, so that's it. And immediately there goes a very strong email saying, we waited, it's a waste of our time, blah, blah, blah. So 5 minutes is your window.
Okay.
Good rules there. I could also relate a lot from what you said. Moving on, how different is customer service culture in Germany compared to other countries? Have you experienced one?
Yeah, I mean, you are put on hold quite a lot, but then people, I think they are also into problem resolution. So my experience with customer service was always with the internet company, because we had, although I was living in Munich, extremely spotty network back then, and I used to be on call hold for a very long time, also with the health insurance, for example. But people were sweet also. If they do not know something, they tell you that they do not know, and then they'll tell you that they would come back. But probably also for me it was an advantage because I was speaking German, and it was very easy for me to navigate. With someone without German knowledge, it would be very challenging. Probably to navigate such a scenario, and maybe they find the culture not so helpful because they speak a different language. But if you speak German, it shouldn't really be a challenge. I've actually been very comfortable compared to, I do not want to complain, but compared to where I'm living now, I think I've had much better experiences with customer care in Germany.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good to hear. But were you also preparing to have a conversation? Because as I would say, when you learn German, you're not prepared to have a conversation with an insurance company, right? So were you preparing for some vocabulary or some sentences before going for a call?
Somehow in my life in Germany, everything was like, I was just pushed into a lake, and then I somehow had to come up. This was my life. So, and one thing that was helpful was, me living in East Germany and trying to interact with locals. That was of great help. And when I moved to Munich, I told all my colleagues, although my job was in English, I still told my colleagues, if it is a technical discussion, let's have it in English. But otherwise, I want you people to speak German to me. So there were times where I was barely understanding anything, and then they were like, you said this, but did you understand what's going on? I was like, no, please tell me once again. So I've faced a lot of such embarrassing situations where, Yeah, I don't want to go into details, but yeah, there were quite a lot of embarrassing situations. But because of this, I was able to navigate my life. Doesn't matter whatever situation you put me into, health insurance, for example, anything, I was able to handle them. No preparation, I would just have a problem at hand. I would call the company, even if it is broken German, I would just try to somehow come out of it. So I was doing this for both my husband and I, because he was busy working, and I was the one who took up the challenge of learning the language, and I was the go-to person for any kind of bureaucratic issues. So yeah, any situation I was able to navigate without any preparation. There were also not many apps at that time, right? So Google Translate was not really useful at that time. You still had to type a lot of text, and meanwhile the person on the phone is really pissed off. So you had no go but just to jump in and somehow figure out things.
In that case, I think now we are all blessed, like, because when I came initially, I used whatever problem is it, I hand over the phone to them, whatever I need. Now I take some courage to talk to at least my house arrest
Nice.
appointments and things like that. Not the bigger ones, like when we have a network issue or something, not those, but at least what is needed for me, like for example, a doctor come in and things like that. I try to practice with ChatGPT a little and then
Nice.
write down the words what is needed. But still, I get sometimes messed up when it's with the dates and all those, when they say it very fast.
Yeah.
I still mess up, and sometimes when it's completely out, then I still ask them once again in English, this is what you told, right? And then somehow manage things.
But challenges like these, because we've all faced them, and also probably still face them on a day-to-day basis. This is where I pull in also my experience and try to put in such scenarios also, although they are not a part of your curriculum. Now, if you look at your B1 curriculum, the textbook never asks you to call the customer care and complain about your internet connection. It's not in the curriculum, but I bring in such scenarios and tell them, hey guys, let's say Deutsche Bahn cancelled your train, and you have to go to the counter. All of us are booking tickets online, but still you have to go to the counter because your train got cancelled and you need your refund. So you have to go and make conversation with the guy. So now have this conversation. This happens live in class. So I put my groups through such situations where they're trying to figure out their life, not to be mute in their life in Germany, but just have such conversations. Even if it is bits and pieces, they get a few words from me, but then somehow they have to come out of that situation with their money back also.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
I see that you're very brave when it came to speaking. I appreciate that, and also like the way how you're teaching the students. And one more thing was, in case you didn't understand the person on the other side, right? Because when they are talking to you, they are native, and they come up with so many words that probably you don't have in your dictionary. So how did you navigate that challenge?
So one way was, of course, asking them to slow down. Ein bisschen langsamer bitte. That was my go-to sentence, and also conveying them that I'm new to the language and I'm trying to make a conversation. So asking them to speak slowly, and then at the same time repeating what I understood from this context, the whole scenario, and then asking them, habe ich es richtig verstanden? Is it what I understood? And maybe if they say, no, this is not what we meant, probably there would be some kind person who would switch to English quickly to explain, but at the same time to give an overall gist. But this was all, I was not ashamed to ask once more. And I would also tell them, I'm new to Germany and I'm still learning the language, so could you please help me with this? And most of the time they're very kind people. There were one or two instances where I was trying to make an effort, but then the opposite person was like, you are in Germany, you should speak German. And I'm like, yes boss, I am trying. I'm still getting there. You should give me time. The first week in Germany, you cannot force me to speak at an office, a government office, fluent German. That's not going to happen, right? So
Good one, Shah. I mean, these are also the tips that a lot of learners can also try, right? And I guess asking them to rephrase, they would also be glad because they are doing it in German again, but in a simpler way. It's
Exactly.
not like they have to switch totally into English, which probably
Is
might
difficult.
annoy them or break out their
But
comfort zone.
But these days, I've also heard that the government is also trying a lot. Like especially in Munich, I've heard. I was in contact with a politician back then, and then when we were having such an informal discussion a couple of years ago, as problems that internationals face when they go to the Rathaus, for example, or the Ausländerbehörde. The forms are all in Amtssprache, the official language, which is also for Germans a little difficult to follow. So then we brought it up, as a topic. If you, as a native speaker, have difficulty understanding, how do you expect us to follow? So apparently in Munich, they've introduced a simpler language for forms, and I don't know if it has been already implemented, but I've heard that this has been already in progress, that things are being made simpler, expat friendly. That's what I understood. I don't know if it is
The
everywhere.
forms that we filled in the visa office, we used to get in two languages, like the German and like in English,
English
but
and
like written small.
smaller.
Yeah, still
Okay.
better than
Yeah, slowly things are changing. The government is also listening, I suppose.
yes,
So it's a
slowly.
two
That's the
two
correct
way.
way.
It's a two-way method. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we also learn about it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Divya. I think now we'll switch to our fun part, which
Sure.
where we'll have a small fun game, which is you want to share the screen.
Yes.
We have emojis. I think this should be easy.
I'm a little
We
nervous.
no. And
It's not a test.
we have a few images which should contribute to a word, which is in German. Yeah. So, for example, maybe if I have.
Handschuh?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So you are.
You started. She's on. She's, yeah.
Answer
So,
is correct.
Handschuh is first one, which is correct.
How's
We're going to
that?
try the second one here.
Hausarzt?
Hausarzt, yes.
Awesome.
Easy.
Aha.
The
Und
third one.
Fahrkarte Controller?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Fahrkarte controller.
that's correct. Awesome.
Okay, so the next.
Parkhaus? Auto Parkhaus?
On
Okay,
spot.
all this.
Radweg? Nein.
You're correct.
Radweg?
So you're almost close. This was
Ampel
all.
für Fahrräder. Something like this.
Yeah,
Yes,
this was
exactly.
What's
What
the
a
word?
word.
The word?
word was Fahad Weg Shine.
Schild. Schild, nein?
It should be shield actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fahad Weg
Huh?
Shield.
Schild, okay.
Yeah,
But good
because
one. I could
Yeah,
also
even-
try something like this in classes. I try to use a few games, and this is something which is. I'll copy this if you don't mind. I'll steal the
sure,
idea.
sure,
No
no
worries.
problem. I mean, we have tried different things in our different podcasts. So if
Yeah,
you want to
maybe,
like
yeah, that helps as
that
well.
would be great.
you know, look into it, you can check the other episodes.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
In the last session also we had something which was very funny. Like we gave two words. The guest was the native German, so we gave her two big words. One was the original, the real word, and the other one was just a made up, cooked up word. Just combining many words. And but yeah, she was a native person, right? So she was able to hit all those
Nice.
correctly. But if you
Nice.
ask someone like me or who is learning German, I think we wouldn't be able to identify because everything sounds almost correct.
It's just a matter of time, right?
Anyway, so now, Divya, let's move to the rapid fire. So here's the first question for you. German food you always recommend to expats?
Kartoffelsalat.
So what
Very
That's
yummy.
my favorite.
favorite? Yeah. You want to start?
One German learning book you recommend to every expat?
It's a difficult one. Duden is something which is always helpful. The Wörterbuch dictionary, Duden.
The normal one or the picture one?
If you're a beginner, then the pictures. But then if you're beyond B1, then just get Duden, open some page, and it would be a nice reading exercise for you.
Okay.
Okay. One city or a place to relax in Germany.
München, that's home.
That's nice. Yeah. When we went to München also, we felt it was really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
for us it was a 3 day trip, so we were like hurrying around, but then the Marktplatz and those places were really nice.
It's for me. It's not too huge. People from Berlin, they just say it's a München ist ein klein Dorf, sagt man. It's a small village. That's what they say. But it's, I think, the perfect combination. It's a city, but at the same time not too huge. It's very close to the mountains.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the favorite like quick getaway is always the Alps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But which part, like, was it old Germany or, sorry, old Munich or the new part of Munich?
I was always within the second ring. I was living always within the second ring. Like this was back when the ring system was there.
Okay.
So the older part of Munich.
Okay. But did you have any personal favorite, any city or any place?
In
specific-
Munich,
Yeah, in Munich.
I loved walking along the Englischer Garten.
Okay.
It's across Munich, right? So a friends of mine and I, we would just decide to meet, but the meet was only for a walk. So we would walk like hours together talking, and it would be like a workout, meet up, as well as enjoying nature.
Okay.
Good.
Good to know.
Okay.
Which German festival gives gives the best local life experience for newcomers?
Oh, Frühlingsfest, not Oktoberfest. Frühlingsfest is better.
Which fest?
Brilliant.
Frühlingsfest, the spring
Frühlings-
fest now.
Yes.
Okay, so was there a moment in Germany where you thought, I wish someone had told me this earlier?
Lots of them, but the peak one was once my boss, he happened to tell me, ich muss kurz ums Ecke. I didn't know what it meant, so I just followed him. But apparently he was going to pee, and I didn't know that. And he just turned around, he was like, what, why are you following me? I said, yeah, we could continue our discussion while walking. And then he's like, Divya, ich muss auf Toilette. So, like, amongst the many embarrassing situations, this would have been the peak. And then I thought someone should have told me, this is colloquial German, right? No one told me. The textbooks never told me about this.
Right.
Maybe even I wouldn't have also catched the first sentence.
That's also true. There is also like ich muss mal. That's also one. Yeah, but Germans have different ways of
Different
expressing.
things, right? So,
Yeah.
especially a Bavarian man telling me that, and I didn't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, someone told me. Now I won't make that mistake. Die Ecke gehen, something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
I just have to go to a corner, and who would have? I knew Ecke,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
thought, okay, he probably is going to get a coffee at work.
Yeah, it's so indirect to tell that. Yeah.
Yes. Good. So that was the end of all the rapid fire. Hope that
Thank
was not
you.
tough.
No, it was fun. It
And
was nice interacting with you people.
and
Now-
we are not done. We have a Pommes question because of
Okay.
the
Name.
Pommes Box podcast. The question is sweet potato fries or traditional pommes?
Ah,
Fries.
pommes. Immer pommes.
Yeah. So you hate sweet potato fries?
I don't hate them, but if you were to give me a choice anyway, and when I'm anyway eating fries, why not the traditional ones? Why the healthier ones?
Pommes is supposed to be unhealthy.
How's it for you then? Is it pommes or Swiss Kartoffel?
We try both sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah, the tastier one is always the traditional hummus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
maybe
if it
sweet
were one
potato.
day,
Mhm,
no, for
sorry.
me, if it were one time, like once in a couple of months that you eat fries, then why not the
Why
traditional
not?
ones?
Why not hummus? Yeah.
Totally.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So, as a closing thought,
Mhm.
wanted to ask if how did it change like your life in Germany in 2013, where you were struggling with German, and until you got into a company where you could talk to your colleagues. So, what kind of opportunities changed after mastering the language, even on a personal level or in a technical level in your life in Germany?
So I think language is everything in my personal opinion, because that's what opened up a lot of avenues for me. So starting from my student job, I was able to find a student job right in the first semester of my masters, because I took the first 6 months after moving to Germany to just focus on the language, and I had an edge because of that. And then I started applying, made my CV back then in German. Although I was at B1, I still somehow made a CV in German, and also did my cover letter on my own, even if it were with mistakes. I just sent out cold emails to a lot of people, and I got a couple of offers, and I picked something which was close to my heart. And yeah, and from there was no looking back. Whenever I was applying, it was also because back in that time there were not many brown people, women, speaking the language that well. And a few of my jobs were also because the companies wanted diversity, and they also wanted German speaking people. That was an edge for me, and I was able to score a lot of job offers because of this. And I think after I came back to India, I redid my CV in English, but all those years, 2013 until now, all my CVs are in German. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's
So, would you also recommend the same approach to all the listeners?
I mean, it worked out for me, and it helped me get a lot of offers. I was also able to demand my pay. I didn't have to settle for anything less. So
Mm.
it does really help a lot. Although, so they were not looking for my certificates. I had back then, I just had a B1 certificate when I started applying, but my level was much better. And I never had to apply with the certificate, but then once I was called for an interview, they saw the way I spoke, and it was just important for them to, for me to get, how do you say, speak together with the team in German, and no one had to sit there and translate for me, or summarize the whole thing in English. They found that very comfortable to work with. So if it is an option for you, I know there are probably English speaking jobs, but it is always an edge when you have the language skills. You need not speak technical German, just have basic coffee communication with your colleagues. That's of great help. Nowadays, apparently, people are looking for certificates as well, because there are a lot of people on the market available for looking for jobs. But otherwise, just because someone got a job using English itself, it's not mandatory that it's always going to be the case, right? It's learning the language is always going to have an edge. Like for me, for example, it somehow worked out that I started my own business on German language training, although I come from a completely different background. You never know what comes up.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you for sharing all this information with us. Thanks from
yeah,
both of
both
us.
of us. Yeah.
And
thanks a lot for the opportunity.
what we, I guess, we also want to give a quick shout to Matthias and Corina, who are also partners with,
Exactly.
partners with Divya on her teaching journey.
Really.
And yes,
Yeah,
people who
bringing
want to
their native level
exactly,
knowledge to people who are learning
because
German.
Yeah.
this is something missing also in India, because
Yeah.
Indians are teaching Indians, and you're bringing that German side of it, and also connecting and giving them a real native feel on how it is to be speaking German. So yeah, very good job.
Thank you
And
very much.
Yeah, we wish our best for the organization, for your growth
Thank you
and
so much.
growth of the
I will also
organization.
convey the regards to both Matthias and Corina. Thanks a lot. They'll be very glad to hear from you.
okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Super.